Hi guys, welcome back to the garage. Back on 2CV, I need to get it moved. I was hoping to do it before I went away, but it didn't happen. So, if you watched the previous video where I took it apart, I basically had a choice of two heads, either replace pushrod tubes or replace guides. I've gone for replace guides because the head that needs the guides is actually in better condition, so we'll have a quick look. It's on the bench and we'll go from there. Right, there's the head. The seats look good, just minor marking on the combustion chamber, but nothing bad. And the seating area where the barrel sits is in good nick as well, not eroded away. The pushrod tubes are not brilliant. It looks like this is going to be a recurring theme, but I'm going to go with this one. I think it'll be okay. Slightly mucky. Now, the valves themselves are also not bad. Pretty good. Certainly reusable. And then I've cleaned up all the gasket services, etc., etc. So we've just got to address the guides. Now, I'll show you the old ones that came out, which I failed to do at the end of the last video. Right, there's the old ones. They came out clean. There's no drag marks down them or anything would have been catching on the head. And when the head cooled down and I tried to reinsert them, it was impossible. So I could have them measured. I probably won't be bothering, to be honest. In fact, I definitely won't, because I've already bought the new ones, which we shall have a look at now. So there's the new ones. If we put them side by side, they are not exactly the same. The taper is greater on the new one than the old one, and the new ones also lack the machining at the top, which is a worry because that machining must contribute to the grip of the valve stem oil seals, one would imagine. But anyway, that's all I could get, so they're going to have to go in. Now I could just tap them back in using the same tool I used to take them out, but that risks the potential for burring the end of the guide. Now, I've done it before, but this time I thought I'd just try something slightly different. So, to that end, I purchased this little kit, which is actually designed for motorbikes. This one came from a well-known Royal Enfield dealer. And the principle is quite simple. Let me just move the camera and I'll show you. You have a central threaded bar, a couple of spacers, a handle and an an extraction tool. And then in theory, you bung that up there so it's up against your valve seat. You select your appropriate valve guide, which slides on down there into place. You use the number of spacers that you're going to need, and I've already noticed a problem. I'm going to take the rockers off because it won't go past, so that's the next job. And then put your nut on and slowly wind the guide into place. So the next job, as I say, will now be to remove both rockers to get access, heat the head. The new guides are going in the freezer, and the combination of heat and cold will hopefully be sufficient to get them back in. And then we'll have to then see whether the seats need cutting I should say, because there's no guarantee with these aftermarket parts, or any aftermarket parts, that the hole in the centre of the guide is concentric to the outside of the guide. So though everything goes in square and tight, the hole could be pointing at a slightly different angle. It doesn't need to be very much to cause a problem. I would like to have bought genuine ones, but I've no idea where to get them, if there's any available. So that's the next step. Rockers off, freezer, and then we'll come and fit in. Hope for the best. Just before we do that, I suddenly thought I'd better check. Do these actually fit? And they do. It's tight. Well, to be honest, that's the area they move in and they're fine there. Slightly notchy going over the top, but no, in the area they move, they're okay. However, they will compress slightly when they're put in the head. So we might still need to ream them. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to them. Cross that bridge when we come to it, I should have said. Yeah. These are aftermarket valves, I think. No, that should be okay. We'll just have to see. Right, off to the freezer. Special tool for the rockers. Some people replace these with Allen-headed bolts for ease of future removal. Let me just get something to rest on that. In fact, we'll turn it around so we can see things more easily. Oh, tight. No sign of wear on the cups. A little bit of wear on the operating surface of the valve. And no play on the spindle. So that's okay. Quite happy to reuse them. Oh. Oh. Have to get the longer one for this one. It's very tight. Oh. There we go. Bit of extra leverage helps. Again, slight polishing on the pad, but nothing dreadful. And no wear in that either, so that's good, both okay. Right. So now we're going to have to do some localized heating. I think we'll do the inlet first. Just prop the head up because the granite it's on could well prove to be a bit of a heat sink. Yeah, we'll start with the inlet. Right, fresh from the freezer. Let's see if this works. Oh, it's cold. Give it a tiny bit of lubrication just in case. Now this is a Royal Enfield tool, so it's actually got British spanner size. put it in a vise, but then you probably won't be able to see what's going on. Right. Have a quick look and see where we are in relation to the shoulder. A long way off is there. I can only use this one. The larger spacer is cut at an angle for the valve guide, and it's not going to go all the way down with 2 CV guides, but that's okay because the little one isn't, so hopefully that will be okay. So I'll just bottom it on the large one and then we'll have a look. Yeah, that's it. Right. I'm going to reheat the bottom because that's cut out in there to sit round the shoulder of the valve, and it's too deep for a 2 CV. I could cut that down, I suppose. But anyway, for the moment I shall reheat the bottom. See if that works, because I don't want to strain the top of the valve. Right, it's down to the shoulder. So it's got to have been gentler than hammering it in, but we'll soon see by trial fitting the valve and looking for any burrs on the end. Doesn't look bad though. Right, so it's just the very end of the valve where it's been, where the tool's been on it. It's very, very close. Make sure there's no swarf or anything there. Right. Okay, so I'm going to let that cool. It looks like the main part's absolutely fine. It's just a very slight burr on the edge. But I'll let that cool and then we'll have a look. I'll just fit the other one. The exhaust has gone in a lot more easily, probably because it's shorter, and I think I put more heat in that time, to be honest, having learnt from the first one. So let's see what that valve's like. Absolutely fine. Lovely. Right, I shall let that cool down, and when I come back we'll just double check the inlet again and decide what we're going to do. Right, good news. It's all cooled down. I checked the valve again. I made sure the stem was okay to make sure there's nothing, no marks on that, which is absolutely fine. I noticed, I don't think we're able to see it on camera, but I noticed there was just the tiniest little mark on one part of the valve guide, presumably from the installation tool. So I just used a half round fine rat tails file and just gently removed the burr, and that, get to the other side. So good news. So now we need to know if the seats, or the valve guide and valve, are still concentric with the seats. Now, get rid of that excess oil. You could use something like engineering blue, but I don't have any engineering blue, so that eliminates that. So I think, try and get that where you can see it. Yeah, I don't have any, as I was saying. So I think we'll just use some marker pen and just see where it contacts. Use the old-fashioned way. I will lubricate that slightly to make my life easier. Anything for an easy life. This is going to be difficult to control and film. Is it taking it off? Yes, it is. I will just add a little bit. I'll just put a tiny amount of fine grinding on to make it easier to see. Here's removing it. Now, just wipe all that away. I'm not sure how well you're going to be able to see this, but get a torch. Ah, well, it's actually very good. Right, so I'll just put a bit of force on that then and try and bring the seat back up. That looks pretty good on that one anyway. Right, that's pretty good. I mean, maybe if it's a high performance engine you might be more critical, but for a 2CV I think that's going to give a good seal, because the band on the valve is lovely and even. No, that'll be alright, I think. I'm going with it anyway, that's pretty good. So I'll just lap in the other one and check it. Right, I've given the stems a bit of a polish as well. So the seats are good now, the stems are clean. Spin. So we're moving freely throughout both. So I would say that was a successful insertion. So I need to just straighten these again. That's shown in another video, so have a look. Put the rockers back on, build the head up, stick it back together. So just before we go, thoughts on the tool? Very good is the simple answer. The only drawback for a 2CV is the depth of that is too much for the taper. So I will probably leave it as it is, but if you were buying one to use on a 2CV, I think you could safely remove about that much. So very good. That came from Hitchcock's Motorcycles, Royal Enfield dealer in the UK, to whom I have no affiliation whatsoever. I paid with it with my own money. They were very quick delivering it, which was very good. And a definite improvement on knocking them in and out with something like that. I think it was £32, I think, delivered to my door. Something like that. So yeah, well worth the investment. Right, so now it's all done. As I said, I'll build it up. Thanks for watching. Have a look on the channel for other 2CV related content. There will be more, because whilst I've been doing this, I found another problem that needs sorting out. But anyway, thanks for watching and see you again soon.